everybody, and welcome to another episode of Insufficient Friends. I'm Kevin. She's Nikki.
Hi. What?
We were just talking about this a second ago, but it is funny because when we're on Zoom like this, when we're doing this way, there is a delay, and it's kind of...
So basically, the whole entire time of this podcast going forward, except when I'm visiting you, you're going to sound crystal clear and perfect, and I'm going to be the doofus who's a second behind.
No, so you're not a second behind because everybody can hear you at the same rate, but when you're, like, it almost seems like there's a delay in the, it seems like there's a delay in the connection. So, like, when I say something, it's like it takes a second to get to you and then get back. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So it's not that you don't sound like a doofus. It's just there's just like a little bit of a delay, and anybody listening won't know the difference. I don't think.
Okay.
But
that's okay. We're rocking with it.
We're rocking with it. And also last week I realized too that you forgot to say bye at the end of the podcast, which I thought was weird when I.
Probably because I can't really hear the theme song over Zoom.
That makes sense.
Like I hear some of the saxophone, which I love. I love a good saxophone. I have mine here, but that's like kind of all I can hear.
Okay.
So I remember you like wrapped up, and then all of a sudden it was just done. I was like, oh, I didn't say bye. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
I mean, it'll get better, I'm sure. It's just going to be having to relearn how to do this, I guess.
Yeah.
Which we're already not that good at it, so that ought to be interesting.
Yeah, at least I have a camera that will not fall over in the middle of
we don't think so.
Saying something.
We don't think so.
Yeah. It's literally attached to my computer, so if it falls over, I have a ghost. I think last week we said I'm just going to blame everything on ghosts, whether it's paranormal or not.
Exactly. And also it's us. So it's very possible that the desk could fall over all of a sudden. Like there's no telling.
Yeah. Who knows?
But anyway, how was Nick, how was your week?
It was good. Just settling into the move and getting the dogs in the routine is the hardest thing. Animals are always stressed, and it's the worst because it's not like kids where they can talk to you.
Yeah.
You have to try to figure out what they're doing. So poor Millie has been like under the bed for about 2 weeks straight.
Just because she doesn't know what's going on?
Yeah. I think she's too stressed out. But like Opie's fine. He's sleeping on the couch. Like he's totally settled in. So it's like, I wish you could just ask them how they're feeling and what you could do for them.
Yeah.
Poor Millie. But yeah, everything else with the move and everything is going well. So yeah,
well, that's good.
Just working.
That's good.
How about you?
It was fine. It was just kind of another week. I don't really think anything crazy happened. Out of the normal. We talked about the Olympics a couple of weeks ago. I've been watching some of the Olympics. I don't feel like I've been watching very much of them, which is... Today was breakdancing, which I saw a little bit of the other day, which is interesting.
I saw a meme, but that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I saw skateboarding a little bit the other day. But yeah, I don't, for some reason, I don't feel like I've been watching as much as I have in the past, but I'm guessing it's just because I work all the freaking time and I don't
Well,
really
you're
have the
busy.
time.
Yeah.
But,
I don't really watch it. I've seen clips and memes, and I have seen videos of Martha and Snoop. So but that's about the extent of
Is Martha there too?
Yeah, I think she was there at the dressage.
Oh,
They were like in dressage get-ups, like equestrian get-ups.
Huh.
I think that was at the Olympics.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Snoop's
that's
been there
about it.
because I've seen a lot of stuff with him over the last couple of weeks. So, but well, that's fun. Anyway, shout outs. I only have one this week, and it was from Tom, who was on last week. So thanks, Tom. He says, thanks for having me on your podcast. It was a lot of fun sharing my story with you both. Thanks, Tom.
Oh, that's fun.
We had a lot of fun with it too. Like I enjoyed. It's an interesting story. It's a lot of fun. If you didn't watch it, we talked about cryptids, Bigfoot, the Missouri Monster. So
Hmm.
definitely worth going back and listening to or watching that one if you want, if you find that stuff interesting. Because Tom
Yeah.
says that he's when he was a teenager, he saw one, which is freaking
Yeah.
crazy. So
I know.
that's
I loved listening to Tom telling his stories. That
yeah,
was a good
it
episode.
was
I
a really good
thoroughly
episode.
enjoyed it.
It was a really good
Hmm.
episode, but.
Yeah, very much so. And Tom's a good storyteller.
Hmm.
And just having that firsthand account, because it's one thing if we have an episode about cryptids or talk about the Missouri Monster, but just the fact that he actually saw it and had that firsthand experience is wild.
Yeah, it is wild. But anyway, did you have any shout outs for this week, Nick, or was that going to be the extent of our shout outs? Do you
Yeah,
think?
I think that's it. We didn't have any comments on Instagram or anything that I remember seeing. So,
Okay,
yeah, that's it.
nice. Well then I think we'll just get into it. I
Hmm.
want to preface this by saying that I'm not going to try to dog a bunch of people who like what we're talking about today, but I can't guarantee
Hmm.
anything's not going to happen. Cuz the other day I was I'm not going to say forced. I was coaxed into watching some montages of reality television.
Yes.
And I texted Nikki yesterday. Was it yesterday that I texted? I watched it and texted you? I think it was yesterday.
I think so, yeah.
And said I thought my IQ dropped about 60 points.
Yeah, so you don't know this, but I took a screenshot of that message,
Uh huh.
posted it to our Instagram on our
Okay.
story, and said, "Guess who's super excited for our episode tomorrow? Not Kevin." And we got a
Uh,
couple like laugh reactions. I think Marie laughed at it. Maybe my friend Leah. I can't remember who else laughed at it, but it got some people. So yeah, we all know that you're very excited for this episode, Kev. I know. Um, no, but the reason for this was I like watching reality TV. It's kind of
mm-hmm.
like my background brainless,
Okay.
trash to watch basically, but
Yeah.
like I love watching it. But I knew that you would hate most of what I sent you because I know you said there's some that you like and
There's
there's
some that
things that
I've
you
watched
watched in
in
the
the
past.
past. I mean, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that falls under reality television.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
like there's a ton of stuff that falls under reality television, but
Hmm.
a what has become reality television nowadays, I feel like, is different from what it was back in the day.
So, how would you describe past reality television versus present?
Well, I think part of the difference is if you go back, like the first reality TV show was in 1948, which is a long time
I did
ago.
not know that.
It was Candid Camera, which
Okay.
was like a, if I remember correctly, I never really watched it, but from what I understand, it was kind of like a hidden camera prank type show,
Hmm.
which is like
Like Impractical Jokers, but old.
kind of, yeah. I guess I again I haven't ever really
Hmm.
watched it, so I'm not entirely sure about this. Um,
Hmm.
but that's something where it's like you're watching people's actual reaction to something happening. That's
Hmm.
real.
Yeah.
It puts on here also Cops, which is again
Oh,
real. Like Cops
I love
is a
cops.
real, but it's like things actually happening. Like you just put
Yeah.
cameras on the police officers and you go.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like reality television now is a lot of staged things
Yes.
that are
Oh, I
made to
agree.
look real, but they're not. They're too
I
over the
agree.
top to be actually real.
Yes, I 100% agree because I think it's real moments that the producers have worked up to set it up the way they want it to happen
Hmm.
or situations they want it to happen. And whether or not the people in these reality shows act it up or play it up or whatever, of course, a lot of them do.
Yeah.
But I think it's more so like production. I don't know if it's production or editing or whatever. I think that has changed a lot to
Oh,
be
yeah.
more hyped up to what people view more.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. I think it's like real staged moments
Yeah,
almost.
I think it's I think it's actual moments that are the same way as like, Impractical Jokers is like, cuz Impractical Jokers is
Yeah.
fun to me at times. Sometimes it's a little
Yeah.
too awkward for me cuz I don't like the really awkward like humor. But
Yeah.
but usually it's fine and it's funny.
Hmm.
But it's
Hmm.
people's like it's them playing jokes and seeing how people actually react, and then you go ask them later like, hey, can we use we're
Yeah.
on a TV show, can we use this, like, and that's
Yes.
where it becomes a different thing versus like I feel like in reality television shows like Jersey Shore and the Real Housewives and stuff, it's like the producers
Hmm.
kind of like poke the bear a bunch, and then all of a sudden everybody
100%.
freaks out, and
Yeah.
they kind of make these things, they kind of make bad things happen by just the way they
Hmm.
go about setting it up, and then
Yes.
everybody also overreacts to it, so it makes it even bigger because they all know they're on
Yeah,
TV.
there's been lawsuits of like people that were on reality shows. I don't know his name. I believe he was on Love is Blind, which is where they're each in their own rooms. They, get to know each other for a certain amount of time and they go to the altar, seeing each other for the first time and either say, I do or I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I think one of the contestants on that show sued production for like he said it wasn't true. They were setting up these scenarios and he was like traumatized. And yeah, it's very much, I think a lot of I don't know if it's the producers because I don't really know the terminology
Mm-hmm.
because I know that there's so many levels to editing, producing, filming. That crew
Yeah.
is massive
Yeah.
on shows. So I don't know if producers is the right word,
Yeah,
but
I
someone
think it'd be
behind the scenes
producers.
is 100% setting those up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't I also, in situations like that, I will say, if you're gonna go onto a show like that, I don't know if you really can, like, I don't. It'd have to be something egregious for you to be able to sue just because you feel like something happened that you didn't like,
Yeah.
because you kind of know what you're getting into, in my opinion. Like it's a,
Yeah.
like if you've seen any of
Yeah.
these, you kind of know what it is.
Yeah. So unless you truly have not seen it before, don't know what you're getting into,
That was weird.
then what?
I don't know. Your mic just did something weird. Anyway, keep going. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, unless you like have not seen the show before,
Hmm.
there are people that go on and say, I have not watched this before. I don't know what I'm getting in for, or someone else signed me up for this or whatever.
See,
So
I
that
don't.
I could see is like you don't know. And
Yeah,
now I don't know if that's actually true.
yeah. The only way I can see not knowing what's going on is if you're the first season. Because I feel like anybody
Yeah.
else who's, even if somebody was like, oh yeah, I've signed you up for this, and you agreed, or I
Yeah.
agreed, say like you signed me up for this and I agreed to go on it.
Hmm.
Even if I've never watched it before, I'm gonna watch some of it just to know what I'm getting into. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not
Oh, I
going
would
into
too.
this. I'm not going into this without knowing anything about what's going on. Like, we're not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there are some, so I'm assuming the answer is no. But have you seen Too Hot to Handle? I think
I've
that's the
never even
one.
heard of that one.
Okay, I think it's the one I'm thinking of. Um, it is a show where they're like family and friends sign them up, I believe. I think they can maybe sign themselves up, but they go in thinking it's a different show than it is.
Okay.
And then part of the surprise, like in the first episode, is they're like, oh, shoot, I'm on this other show. So, Too Hot to Handle is a show where like all these young single people are forced to like, you can't have physical contact with these other people. You can't kiss, you can't do anything like
Oh,
that,
I've heard about this, I
but
think.
they go in or there's some seasons where they think they're going to like this party show or it's like a different setup and then they get there and then the little Lana pops up. Lana is the name of like the narrator and she's like, actually you're on Too Hot to Handle, and they're like, oh crap. So that's
Hmm.
like intentional. The show is
Yeah, it's trying
setting
to
it up to
trick
be
people.
something that they didn't sign up for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I've heard of that now that you mention it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, of course, the Jersey Shore. I remember that being on back in the day.
I
You
love Jersey Shore.
sent me a
I love
clip.
it.
You sent me a clip of the Jersey Shore. That's the one I
Mhm.
didn't get to watch because you sent it to me a little later than the other one, so I
Yeah.
didn't have a chance to
Mhm.
watch that one. Um, but I watched all the other ones, which was like I think it was like 45 minutes or so of clips, and
Yeah.
it's just so bad. It was just so bad.
Just be glad I didn't send you the full episodes.
Yeah, it would. I don't know if it would have happened if you'd sent me full episodes. Like, it was bad enough with what it
Yeah.
was. Because what did I got a little bit of. I think I had 2 10-minute clips of the Real Housewives,
Yeah.
different versions of the Real Housewives. I think I had something on the Kardashians, like a montage of the Kardashians, and then I had two different things from Love Island.
Yeah. Yeah, because I wanted you to see like how it's more like a game show setup, but it's still reality TV and it's kind of a weird setup, but there's a lot of reality TV that's like game showy, like there's winners and losers.
Mm-hmm.
Um so
Which
yeah,
I
what
mean
was your
I knew that existed because I've heard of
yeah.
Survivor and I've seen Survivor in the past, so I know
Mhm.
like things like that exist too. But
Yeah.
I
Did you have any moments that stuck out to you, or which one was like, oh, I want to turn this off right now as you were watching it?
um
I know you've never been a big fan of the Kardashians. I love watching their
so
show.
I just don't care. I think the Real Housewives was the worst. Out of the ones you sent me, I think the Real Housewives was the worst.
Yeah.
Um, Love Island was a little awkward because I didn't really understand the plot of it. Like you've got people just picking each other to like date, which was
Yeah.
weird. And then you sent me one that was the rank something where they're just ranking the other side, and that seemed really awkward to me because it was a little like it seemed like something that I didn't think would get filmed today because it would have been canceled.
Yeah, some of them are very much like that. But it's like it's so addicting you can't turn it off.
Yeah, it was.
Mhm.
It was. Yeah. Oh, I could turn it off. Trust me. I could have turned it if it would have been longer than like eight or
I
nine
can't.
minutes. If
It's
it
like
would
a
have
train
been,
wreck you can't take your eyes off.
yeah.
That I
If
fall into that trap.
if it would have been longer than 8 or 9 minutes, I could have turned it off for sure. Um, so there
That's funny.
are reality TV shows that I have watched in the
Hmm.
past. Um,
Yeah.
I've seen Cops, like
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
seen things like that. They have one on now, or that was on for a while, called Live PD, which is basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Um, and that actually, one of the my dad really likes that because one of the police departments that they use, or the offices that they use, is the Greene County Sheriff's Office, which is where I'm from. So like a lot of it's in Springfield, Missouri. So you
Yeah.
see it's like, "Oh, I know where that is. Oh, I know where that is. Oh, I know what that street is. I've been there before." Like it's just kind of
So
interesting to
proud of your
watch. Yeah,
hometown.
it's just kind of interesting to watch. So,
Yeah.
but um the one that I
What else have
watched
you seen?
so the one that I watched, and I think I own a few of the seasons of,
Hmm.
was Gene Simmons' Family Jewels.
I have no idea what that is.
So Gene Simmons is the bass player for Kiss, one of the lead guys for the band Kiss,
Okay.
and he had a show like about his, kind of like Ozzy's. Ozzy had the show about his
Oh
family.
yeah.
It's basically the
Yeah.
same thing,
Hmm.
where the cameras just
Okay.
kind of
Yeah.
follow them around and they kind of do stuff. Um,
Yeah.
that I enjoyed because I thought he was funny, and
Hmm.
it didn't seem over the top. Like stuff
Hmm.
just happens, and
Yeah.
it just kind of happens. Like it doesn't.
That's how I felt about the Osbournes too. And
Yeah.
actually, going back to what we said earlier about production, the Osbournes, they said towards the end they didn't want to film anymore because it was getting to the point where people were making scenes happen versus just following their lives.
Yeah.
Because their lives are already wacky enough. They
Yeah.
said it got to a point where they didn't want to do it anymore because of that.
Yeah.
But the Osbournes was my favorite. So it's kind of similar to that.
It's a lot similar to that. Yeah. It's just kind
That,
of
oh
them
my God, that
following
the
it around.
moment when there's that clip where Ozzy comes out of his room and he's talking, like yelling at Sharon. He's like, someone's been in my room and taken my beers out of my room. And Sharon was like, why would anyone do that? that that show has so many good lines and
Yeah.
like memeable moments.
Yeah. And that's in
So good.
yeah, Gene Simmons Family Jewels was kind of the same concept. It's just like
Okay.
another rock star that they just kind of put a camera crew on and just have them follow him around everywhere. And
Yeah.
it was,
Interesting.
and I enjoyed that because it's just kind of like I like I
More
like
real.
Kiss, and it
Mhm.
was more real. It didn't when I watched it, it wasn't like everything wasn't overly drama filled. It was just like a day in the life almost, which is more
Yeah.
to me more interesting if I'm going to watch something like that.
I agree. Yeah, I like watching things that are more what their actual life would be like
Yeah.
versus something that was very clearly like staged events or things like that. Yeah, that's the only thing. I liked the old Kardashians a lot more than I still watch it,
Mm-hmm.
but the old one was a lot more real. Were there staged moments? Oh, absolutely, every episode, but it still felt a little more real.
Is it still going?
Yeah, they stopped doing the old version and then they re-upped on Hulu and now it's not keeping up with the Kardashians. It's just the Kardashians. I think I have that right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still going.
Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know how,
Good.
but because I don't feel like I've heard anything out of them in a while. Like for a while, I heard about them all the time, kind of like Jersey
Yeah.
Shore. I heard about Jersey Shore all the time, and then I heard about them all the time, and then it kind of
Yeah.
just stopped. Like I haven't
Yeah, you know
really
what? I haven't
heard.
seen a lot of PR either, and I follow all them.
Yeah.
Jersey Shore is its own animal. So Jersey Shore also they re-upped a couple of years ago. It was right before
Yeah,
COVID, like
they did like
2018 or
they
something
did
like
like
that.
one or two seasons where it was like their wasn't
Family
it like Family
Vacation.
Vacation or something? Yeah.
I think it was 4 seasons. I haven't
Was
watched
it?
the most
Oh, okay.
recent one or two because it was only on a specific provider that I didn't have, I don't think. But they've done several.
Hmm.
But Jersey Shore Gold. That was my first like foray into reality TV.
Okay.
There's so many good one-liners on that too. And you watch it and you're just like, that's one of those that it's so addicting you can't look away because they're messes, like literally and figuratively. The
Yeah.
house was a mess, they were messes, and
Oh,
the
it
show
looked
was like all over the place. It
you
was hilarious.
you talk about train wreck. It looked like a train wreck all the time.
Yeah.
With a bunch of just I don't really know how to describe them.
Guidos and Guidettes.
Is that what they call themselves?
Yeah.
Is that just a person from Jersey Shore? Is that like what
It's
that
like
is?
an Italian muscly tan,
Okay.
or Guida is tan, usually like thin. Yeah, very like Italian American.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a stereotype is kind of what it is.
Yes, but
Okay.
they like
They
it's
played
their
into
own.
it. Yeah, they play
Yeah.
into it and it is like their
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's such a good show. I mean, there's so many good one-liners. GTL, Gym Tan Laundry. One of
I
my favorite moments. It's actually horrible
I
that it's
remember that.
one of my favorites.
I
But
remember that, the GTL thing. I remember that
yeah,
being a big thing, and I'm just like, what? Like, okay.
I still say that
Okay.
sometimes, like if we're on vacation. But um, uh, there's one of my favorite moments, and it's not great because they were really toxic. But Ron and Sam,
Mm-hmm.
their relationship. Oh my God. There's a moment where Sam is leaning on the over the balcony and is screaming like, "Are you friends with her? Are you friends with her?" And it's just there's so many moments that you're just dumbstruck. How is this even a real thing that people really say and these things happen to? It's amazing. I love it so much.
Just so I remember too, several years after that, I don't remember if it had ended or if it was just like had been going for a
Mhm.
while. I don't remember what the show was called. I don't think it did real well because obviously it's not around really anymore. But they
Mhm.
did a version that they promoted as basically the redneck version of Jersey Shore, which was
Oh,
a bunch of people.
Floribama Shore.
Is that what it was called?
Floribama Shore. Yeah, I'm
You're
pretty sure because I watched it.
oh that sounds
Kev, you know I
awful.
watched it. I think it was called Floribama Shore.
Hold on. Oh no, it was called Buck Wild. That's what it was.
Oh, okay. So there is also a Floribama Shore. I am 99% sure.
Buck.
And because it was like that coast.
Okay. Buck Wild
What
was the
town
one
is
I was
that?
thinking of, and
Okay.
it has it has a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. If that tells you anything. And
Let
how many
let me look
seasons
up.
did it
Yeah,
go?
Floribama. So Pensacola, Florida, I believe. Um, no, that's a bar. Where's the show? Yeah, this was also they tried to like re-up Jersey Shore and it was not. They did a couple seasons, I believe, but I don't it was not as good. Yeah, Floribama Shore reality, 4 seasons. It's a
Okay.
successor to Jersey Shore.
Hmm. Yeah. I
Gulf Coast.
okay. I don't. Okay. Buck Wild only lasted one season, so that shows you how popular it was. Um,
Yeah.
but I'll like yeah, I didn't. I remember this like being promoted as like a redneck version of Jersey Shore, and actually that's how I typed it into
Yeah.
Google was redneck Jersey Shore, and it immediately knew what I was talking about. So obviously this is what it is. So
That's
it's
so
just
funny. Yeah, they've definitely tried to do several spin-offs, but like you can't beat a classic. Jersey
yeah.
Shore is so iconic. I feel like it should go in a Hall of Fame somewhere. I don't know what that Hall of Fame would be, but it deserves it. It's amazing.
I mean, I'm I'm not going to deny that it did a good job with what it was supposed to be.
Hmm. Yeah.
But
I also definitely should not have been
just
watching it at like 13 or 12 or however old I was because it was very adult content.
yeah,
But
I mean, it's yeah, I don't know. I just don't even know.
I will rewatch it. So I know, is it you that said you don't like to rewatch shows, or do
No,
you
I'll rewatch
rewatch
shows.
shows?
Yeah, I'll rewatch
Okay.
shows.
So I'm the same way. I like to rewatch them. And that is one that I love rewatching because it just gets better every time, I swear.
Yeah.
So good.
See, you talk about how these are your like um brainless like just want to have something
Hmm.
on. My just want to have something on is usually going to be a sitcom that I've seen
Yes.
before. So
Yeah.
like um How I Met Your Mother is one of them. Scrubs I really like. I'll put that on the background.
Oh,
Um
I knew there was something you told me to watch a million years ago. Guess what? I watched it.
what
We've
was
been
it?
watching Scrubs.
I love Scrubs. What do you think of
Hmm.
Scrubs? Cuz I love Scrubs.
It's okay. There are some episodes that are hilarious
Mhm.
and some that I kind of space off during.
Okay.
But I like it. I like it a lot. I was just proud that I watched something new instead of rewatching something else.
I enjoy Scrubs because I think it's different for a sitcom. It's not like there's an episode that they do where they call it something, I think, My Life in 4 cameras or whatever, which is like the sitcom setup, which is where when you do a sitcom, a lot of times what they would do is you would have a big set that was like one-sided. So like you would see into this room and all the cameras would just be set up on this side. So it would be like you would have the street view of here, and then next to it would be the house, and then next to it would be something else. So you would just walk from room to room, and it'd just be one big line, and that was the whole set. Whereas Scrubs, when you watch it, they like move through the sets, so you like watch the camera follow them, which is different than how a lot of sitcoms are filmed.
Yeah. We just watched an episode where there is a man that is about to pass away, and JD kind of spaces out, like, if my life was a sitcom, these horrible moments that are so hard in real life would happen. And it like spaced out to, it made it a sitcom then because he was having a hard time dealing with the death.
That's the opposite episode I think I was talking about. Yeah. So
okay. Yeah. Because it showed the whole set and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I like Scrubs because I think it does make jokes upon itself at things like that, which is interesting. And a lot of sitcoms have serious things happen, but I think in Scrubs there's a lot of seriousness with like, it just kind of shows the contrast of back and forth of like how you can, kind of deal with all of it at the same time and not just be
I think that's funny. A good life philosophy anyway. There's always going to be a yin and a yang, an up and a down. When something good happens to you, something bad happens. That's just life. I think having the humor and the positive attitudes and everything that happens in the show, it's a good symbol, I guess, or I don't know the right word, but it mimics real life for sure.
Yeah.
You have to, if you truly gave in to every death that occurred near you, every down moment, just everything bad, because life always throws things at you.
Oh yeah.
Nothing ever goes perfectly right.
No.
This podcast is an example. But it's a good analogy for life. It's a really good analogy for life.
Yeah. Yeah,
there's always going to be an up and a down, and you gotta laugh your way right through it.
I think this podcast is mostly down, so it's mostly downs. Just like Nikki's camera last week.
Up.
You think it's mostly up?
I was just gonna say it's always up because I always pick it back up.
This is true.
Except last week I didn't pick up your camera because I broke the cord. But that's okay. Anyways. Okay. The only other thing I had to talk about, like with reality TV, was I was curious if there's any different things people say about why it's so, because obviously millions of people watch it and it's popular for a reason. And so I was reading some really interesting things. There's the basics, like people like to escape their reality.
Yeah.
And also it's addicting to watch. People like to judge other people, things like that. But there was a really interesting thing I read that even back to Aristotle, just the idea of like Greek tragedies and these very dramatic emotional things, it like allows the audience to cleanse themselves. If they're like going through a tough time, they might identify with it.
Yeah.
Or it's just like fun to watch. So like that's been throughout humanity.
Oh yeah.
Now, is reality TV nowadays its own animal? Yeah.
For sure.
But it's just the idea of it was really interesting that it goes back that far to theaters and plays and these like super dramatic pieces.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back to like the theater, the whole, comedies and tragedies are one and the same. So that makes sense. Like it's just kind of the way it is. Anyway.
Yeah, just interesting.
Are we ready for facts? I think. Time for facts.
So.
So anyway, my fact I saw that was interesting. There was a couple that I found on reality TV. One, I
Okay.
didn't realize the first reality TV show was in 1948. That seems like a really long time
Yeah.
ago.
Crazy.
And then it jumps. It's like 1948, and then it goes to 1965, which is almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Interesting.
Huh. Two, I didn't realize Survivor had been on for 40 seasons.
I've never seen Survivor.
Survivor's been on for 40 seasons, and it says they've
That's a
filmed
lot.
in 20 different countries. Which
Jeez,
is
that's a lot.
which is a lot.
When did it start? Does it say when it started officially?
No, but I can look. It first premiered in 2000. So 25, it'll be 24 years. Yeah, 24 years. So I guess they do like
so that's more than 2 seasons in some years.
2 seasons. Yeah, there's I'm sure they have some that are like 3, like celebrity plus regular plus maybe 2 of the regular ones or something.
Oh, and I
I'm
guess
sure.
they could be filming in different countries at different times.
Yeah, I don't really know how that
Interesting.
one works. I don't know.
Yeah,
Because like
I don't either.
I know like you talked about or we talked about Love Island a little bit, and the one you
Mhm.
sent me was the Australian version, which I'm guessing is the
Mhm.
original. Because I know there's a US version too, isn't there?
Yeah, the US one was newer. Yeah, I don't remember if UK or Australia was the original,
Okay, well, yeah,
but the US one is newer.
yeah.
I think there's only like 6 seasons of the US one.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
what's your
But if
fact
it's
for
not
this? Oh, go
if
ahead.
it's not like RuPaul, Kardashians, Housewives,
Mm-hmm.
or Jersey Shore, or sometimes The Bachelor, I probably haven't seen it. There's like I
I
really
mean,
don't have a variety that I
there's
watch. It's very
so many of
I
them.
limit it to a few.
There's so
There's
many
so
of them.
many.
So many. Of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. So I have two fun facts. They're both about like lawsuits related to reality TV.
Okay, that'll be
Um
interesting.
yeah, so the first one, so before Real Housewives, there was Desperate Housewives, which is just it's not a reality show, that's
No,
a
that was a
drama.
drama. That was an ABC show.
Yeah.
That was a drama. Yeah, I
Yes,
remember
which
that
I
being
also
on.
love Desperate
Mhm.
Housewives. I
But
love
see,
it so much.
that's the difference here. I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna watch it because it's not my type of thing. But
Hmm.
I don't tend to have as much of a problem with that because it
Hmm.
is played up as a scripted show
Yes.
and not trying to say we're real. This is real. It's not.
Yeah. That
It's
show is the opposite of
it's
real.
a drama.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all scripted.
It's all
Yeah, so
scripted.
before the like Real Housewives franchise, because
Mhm.
there's a bunch of different cities,
Yeah.
Desperate Housewives. So ABC actually sued who did they sue? The whoever owns the Real Housewives franchise, it doesn't
Okay.
say. So they sued because in the intro of Desperate Housewives, you know how they hold the apples? Like it pans to
I
them
know
under the
there's a
tree and they hold the apples.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah. And so that's the intro for that. So the intro of Real Housewives of Orange County, which I think was the first one. I know
Guess-
it was before they did Beverly Hills,
Guessing they were holding
but they
oranges.
hold oranges. And so ABC actually sued whoever owns the Real Housewives franchise.
Yeah, you can't just like take things like that and just
Yeah.
do them. But
It's very similar. And then in some of the others, like I think Beverly Hills, they hold diamonds, and I don't remember what the other ones are, but yeah, I thought that was funny. And then so my second fun fact is not a lawsuit brought against anyone, it's just about lawsuits. So in the Real Housewives contracts,
Mhm.
so like if you're on one of the Real Housewives shows, no matter what city, it is written in their contracts, and some of the old housewives have confirmed this. It is written in their contracts that they cannot sue each other for things that happen during filming. So that's why a lot of these crazy situations, a lot of the times there's not any repercussions
Mm.
unless it took place outside of filming.
Huh.
That was interesting.
That is interesting.
Makes sense. Because those shows are wackadoo.
It makes sense.
And craziest things happen.
That also seems like that could let it go overboard at some point, where it could.
Oh, for sure.
It could go overboard, which would be bad.
Yeah. There's people that have slapped each other, thrown glasses at each other. Like, those would normally in a real life situation be things you could sue over, but it happens all the time, it seems like.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a no for me, dog. We'll just go right from, Randy Jackson at
You're turning it off.
Idol. Yeah. Is that considered reality TV? I think that falls under reality TV too, which that I don't like.
American
Idol and like the X Factor and stuff like that. I don't know.
I don't know what else it would be.
I guess I'd have a different category for it entirely, and I'd put it as like a competition, because it's not really. Yeah. I mean, I guess
then you have the ones like Love Island and The Mole and things that are also competitions, but they're very much like reality TV.
Yeah, but that's, I guess it's not. Those though don't seem to me like they're focusing on a talent of somebody. They're just focusing on the game or the point of the show and just like, we are this. Whereas America's Got Talent and the X Factor and American Idol is all trying to focus on this is a talent. You have a talent. Yeah. This is what you can do.
I feel like it's just all lumped together because it'd be so hard to pigeonhole the different shows because they have so much overlap. Yeah. You could say that Love Island is a competition or The Perfect Match is a competition show, but they're also very much probably some scripted, probably a lot of it is reality. But so I feel like it's hard to nitpick which is which.
Yeah, that's true. But I personally would put it in a different category because I don't see.
They watch very differently. Like when you're watching it, it's a different feel.
Yeah, I would almost put, if you want to like take categories that are already there, I would almost put like American Idol and the X Factor and stuff in the category of game show.
Yeah.
Because
that's a good point.
I mean, I know you're not like, you are winning something. You're winning a contract to perform. So I'd almost put it in that category before I'd put it in reality television. But I understand that it's not.
That makes more sense. But I still feel like there's plenty of moments where it's reality. It's hard to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, I think that is about it for this week. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I didn't, but we'll get past that. So yeah, have a nice week, y'all, and we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.